Alright, let's talk about playoff basketball intensity. There's nothing quite like it. The stakes are higher, the emotions are raw, and the physical nature of the game ratchets up significantly. And sometimes, all of that energy boils over. Not just on the court between the players, but in the stands, directed at the players. And when you're a player like Draymond Green of the Golden State Warriors, you have a unique ability to find yourself right in the middle of all that fire. Game after game, series after series. That was absolutely the case in the recent playoff matchup between the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. While the Warriors ultimately took a 109-94 loss, the game itself was secondary to the intense, physical, and downright testy atmosphere, much of which swirled directly around number 23 in yellow. Draymond Green was, as he so often is, at the center of the storm. It was an extremely physical game from the jump, with players battling hard for every inch on the court. And Draymond, known for his tenacity and, let's be honest, his knack for getting under opponents' skin, was right there in the thick of it. He got tangled up with Rockets players multiple times throughout the game, engaging in those typical wrestling matches for position that often define playoff basketball. As the game went on, the tension built. Draymond was whistled for a technical foul after complaining to the officials. A classic piece of vintage Green behavior, pushing the boundaries and letting the refs know exactly how he feels. But what happened next, or rather what happened to Draymond, added another layer to the night's physicality. While Green is often viewed, fairly or unfairly, as the primary instigator in these kinds of situations, that wasn't exclusively the case on Wednesday night. At one point during a tussle for the ball, Draymond got elbowed directly in the face by Rockets young star Jalen Green. It was a significant blow, and after review, the officials charged Jalen Green with a flagrant foul for the contact. So, Draymond was certainly on the receiving end of some physicality as well. Later in the game, with things winding down but the tempers still flared, Draymond got into a heated verbal altercation on the court with Rockets guard Fred VanVleet. Microphones likely picked up some of the exchange. Players and coaches immediately stepped in to separate the two, preventing it from escalating beyond just words. But the intensity was palpable. And it was this moment, this heated back and forth, that seemed to be the final straw for the passionate Houston crowd. Following that specific verbal spat with VanVleet, a large segment of the Rockets fans in the arena started directing a decidedly NSFW, not safe for work, chant directly at Draymond Green. Throughout the arena, the chant of F*** you, Draymond, could be heard. It was loud, it was clear, and it left no doubt about the fans' feelings towards the Warriors forward. This kind of explicit language from a large crowd is something you sometimes hear in the heat of playoff moments, reflecting the raw emotion and animosity that can build up, especially against a player who embraces being a villain to opposing fanbases. After the game, Warriors head coach Steve Kerr was asked about the game's intensity, the loss, and no doubt, he was aware of the chant that had filled the arena. Kerr, a coach who often speaks thoughtfully and is willing to address broader issues beyond just the box score, took the opportunity to admonish the Rockets fans for their choice of language. He specifically highlighted a reason that perhaps some fans don't consider in the heat of the moment. Kerr pointed out that Draymond Green has children, and those kids were likely watching the game. Think about that for a second. While Draymond Green is a fierce competitor, a lightning rod for controversy, and a player who often instigates interactions on the court, at the end of the day, he is also a father, and his kids are watching him play basketball on national television. Steve Kerr's comment serves as a reminder that while fan passion is a huge part of the game's energy, there is perhaps a line when that passion spills over into explicit, personal attacks that can be heard by players' families. It was a moment where Kerr wasn't just defending his players' on-court antics, but critiquing the level of discourse from the fans in a public forum. The incident with the elbow, the technical foul, the spat with VanVleet, and the explicit fan chant all contributed to a testy finish in a game that was already physical. This series is now tied, heading back to Golden State for Game 3. If Wednesday night's contest is any indication, the rest of this series is going to be a knockdown, drag-out affair, and you can be absolutely sure that Draymond Green will be at the center of it. embracing the role of antagonist for the opposing team and their fanbase, while simultaneously drawing the kind of intense, sometimes over the line, reactions that make him one of the most fascinating, and often controversial, figures in the NBA. Whether you love him or hate him, Draymond Green ensures you're always watching. Alright, let's talk about that Warriors-Rockets game on Wednesday night, because it was a pretty physical and intense one. And as usual, Draymond Green was right in the middle of things. We saw vintage Draymond battling for position, getting tangled up with players, even picking up a technical foul. There was one play where he got elbowed in the face by Jalen Green, which was ruled a flagrant foul. And later, he got into a verbal back and forth with Fred VanVleet on the court. All of this vintage Draymond performance definitely got the crowd going at the Rockets arena. And at one point, following that spat with VanVleet, Rockets fans started directing a very explicit NSFW chant at Green throughout the arena. F**************. Draymond. That kind of language from the fans is what caught the attention of Warriors head coach Steve Kerr after the game. In his post-game comments, Kerr directly addressed the Rockets fans and the language they were using. He specifically asked them to, quote, tone it down, regarding that chant. And Kerr's reason for saying that was pretty straightforward and pointed. He referenced the fact that Draymond Green's kids were likely watching the game. His point was that regardless of what happens on the court, players' children shouldn't have to hear that kind of language directed at their father while watching the game. It was a clear message from Kerr, acknowledging the intensity of the game and Draymond's role in it, but drawing a line when it comes to the language used by the fans and the fact that families are often watching. Look, fans are passionate, especially intense playoff-like games with a series tied up, like the Warriors and Rockets are in right now. Players like Draymond are known for their intensity and their ability to get under opponents' skin. And that includes the crowd. But Steve Kerr's comments after Wednesday night's game were a strong reminder that there's a human element here. And while the competition is fierce, there's a level of language, especially when kids might be watching, that many feel crosses a line and is inappropriate. It's a point about fan conduct that often comes up, and Kerr decided to address it directly after that particular chant. The incident with the elbow, the technical foul, the spat with VanVleet, and the explicit fan chant all contributed to a testy finish in a game that was already physical. This series is now tied, heading back to Golden State for Game 3. If Wednesday night's contest is any indication, the rest of this series is going to be a knockdown, drag-out affair, and you can be absolutely sure that Draymond Green will be at the center of it, embracing the role of antagonist for the opposing team and their fanbase, while simultaneously drawing the kind of intense, sometimes over the line, reactions that make him one of the most fascinating, and often controversial, figures in the NBA. Whether you love him or hate him, Draymond Green ensures you're always watching.